You know, online dating always feels like a bit of a gamble, right? But you never ever expect the stakes to be this high. We're about to get into a chilling and very true story that shows the hidden dangers that can lurk behind a charming profile.
Seriously, think about it. It's a question we all should be asking, because for one woman, the answer turned out to be the difference between life and death. This story, wow. It kicks off with a simple swipe right, just like millions of people do every day, but it ends in a terrifying fight for survival.
So where did this all begin? Well, like so many stories these days, it all started on Tinder. A woman, who has understandably chosen to stay anonymous, matched with a man who seemed totally normal. You know, charming, put together. They made a plan to meet for dinner.
So the evening starts out completely normal, just like you'd imagine. He picks her up, they head to a restaurant, and by all accounts, they have a great time. But then, right after dinner, things get weird. She starts feeling really sick, like dizzy, nauseous. He offers to drive her home.
Back at her apartment, she actually starts to feel a little better, so she invites him in for a coffee. But once he's inside, that sick feeling comes rushing back, and she just asks him to leave. He seems super understanding about it, leaves without a fuss, so she locks the door, goes to bed, probably just thinking, well, that was a weird night, but it was so far from over.
Sometime later that night, she gets jolted awake. And this isn't just, a house creaking. This was a definite, deliberate sound coming from inside her house. That bad date, yeah, it was about to turn into an absolute nightmare.
And again, this wasn't some random bump in the night. The noise was so clear. It literally sounded like someone was downstairs moving her furniture around. Can you even imagine? Terrified, she does exactly what you're supposed to do. She grabs her phone and dials the police.
So she's on the phone with 911, whispering, trying to explain what's going on. She tells them, I'm home alone and I am positive there is someone in my house. The operator, of course, is trying to keep her calm, asking her questions, telling her help is on the way.
But then, the operator tells her something that must have made her heart just drop. It's a busy night. It's going to take an officer about 40 minutes to get to you. 40 minutes. But get this, just 3 minutes later, she hears the police at her door. So what's going on? Why would the operator say that? Well, there's an absolutely brilliant reason why. Okay, so the police are there. They start sweeping the house. The woman is still upstairs, just listening, her heart pounding out of her chest. She hears shouting. She hears them take someone down. And what they find downstairs, man, this is where the story gets really shocking.
The intruder? It was him. The guy from her Tinder date. He never actually left. He'd somehow gotten back inside and was hiding in her basement. That charming guy from dinner was now a home invader. But his plan was so much worse than just a break-in.
When the police finally gave her the all-clear to come downstairs, the scene was something out of a horror movie. Seriously, her living room furniture was all covered up in plastic sheeting, laid out on a table, a saw, and a hammer. And the police found him with a whole tool set, tools that could be used for, well, you can imagine the horrific possibilities. So that brings us back to the big question. How did the cops get there in 3 minutes when the operator said 40? It was all thanks to this incredible, quick-thinking move by the 911 operator. She had a hunch that someone else might be in the house, listening to the call. By saying it would be 40 minutes, she gave the intruder this false sense of security, which probably stopped him from immediately rushing upstairs to silence her.
And the police confirmed this later. That operator's incredible presence of mind, that little psychological trick, it almost certainly saved this woman's life. It gave the police that tiny window they needed to get there and stop him before he could carry out whatever awful plan he had.
So the immediate danger is over, right? He's caught. But when you start to piece together the whole story of that night, you realize just how cold and calculated this whole thing was. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment crime.
Let's just walk through his plan step by step. First, police are pretty sure he drugged her at dinner. That's why she suddenly felt so sick. Then, when he was inside her house for that coffee, he must have swiped her keys, and because he'd driven her home, he knew she lived alone. Every single part of this was a terrifying, pre-planned attack.
And the long-term impact on her? It's profound. To this day, the number of online dates she has been on since that night is a big fat 0. Can you blame her? This one horrifying experience just shattered her ability to trust a stranger from an app ever again. She was just so lucky that she woke up when she did.
And that's really what this whole story leaves us with, right? It's this really important question for the way we live now. We make all these connections through our screens, and it creates this feeling of knowing someone when really we don't know them at all. This story is just a terrifying, very real reminder to always ask yourself, who is really on the other side of that screen?